Testing, testing, 1, 2.
Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Testing 1, 2, 3. All good?
No,
me to call it to order? You want me to call it to order?
Year number 35 or something.
Yeah, I have plenty of time.
Committee members, take your seats. Siéntese.
I'd gavel that thing.
Yeah, okay. Members, take your seats. I'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Levin and colleagues on both sides of the aisle, I was privileged to serve as the acting chairman after Chairman Ryan became Speaker, and I'm now honored to formally turn the committee gavel over to Kevin Brady of my home state of Texas, our new chairman.
Thank you,
Yay.
Sam. No one takes their seats faster than when Sam Johnson asks you to do that. Let me start by saying it's truly an honor to chair this committee, and it's even more of an honor to be passed the gavel by my friend and colleague, the gentleman from Texas, Sam Johnson. Sam, once again, when your country needed you, you stepped in and served as our acting chairman while former Chairman Ryan got a promotion across the street. Thanks for keeping the trains running on time and making sure the committee and the country was well served. Job well done, as always. Join me in thanking Mr. Johnson for his leadership as acting. Our official purpose this morning is to welcome our newest Ways and Means Committee member, Mr. Rice from South Carolina, and also to consider a few committee rule changes. Mr. Rice, welcome to the best committee on the planet. I know we will put your many talents to good use, and I'd like at this time to recognize Mr. Rice for any opening comments he'd like to make. Mr. Rice?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. So excited to be on the committee. My history as a tax lawyer and a CPA, it's where I need to be. My focus is on American competitiveness, and I think that starts with this committee. So honored to serve with a new chairman, and I will take it as my job to make that chairman successful and our new speaker successful. Honored to be here with you, and looking forward to adding what I can.
Thank you, Mr. Rice, very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Sanchez.
I just want it noted for the record that he's very afraid of his new seatmate. And with that, I will yield back.
I am absolutely impressed with that bright red dress, I'll tell you that.
Without objection to both of you. Before we move on, I'll begin with a brief opening statement, then recognize Mr. Levin for any opening comments he would like to make. Each of us came to Congress to tackle the big issues that face America and to leave the country a better place than when we arrived. Being a member of this historic and influential committee gives us an opportunity to do just that. This year alone, we've taken an essential first step to reform and create certainty in the way Medicare pays its local doctors. We passed bipartisan legislation to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse within the program. We passed legislation that enables the United States to once again play a leading role in writing the rules for the global economy and shape the future of global trade. And we passed bipartisan legislation that takes steps to protect and improve Social Security disability benefits for the future. As chairman, I intend to marshal the best ideas and work of this committee to advance Speaker Bryan's pro-growth agenda and help lift this country and its people into greater prosperity. I know that the members of this committee have differing opinions as to how we accomplish this goal, but I have great respect for Ranking Member Levin and the talented group of Democrats he leads. Like my predecessors in this chair, I'll continue to look to find common ground to help improve the lives of all Americans. Over the coming months, we're going to take real steps toward fixing our broken tax code by examining and engaging the ideas and energy of every House member who wishes to be heard. America needs a simpler, fair, flatter tax code that's built for growth. The growth of our families' paychecks, the growth of our local businesses, and the economic growth of our nation. An important step is before us as we work to end this ridiculous cycle of important but temporary tax provisions. Permanency creates certainty, boosts the local economy, and advances tax simplification by removing the asterisk from so many temporary provisions. We will pursue modernizing America's outdated international tax rules to stop foreign competitors and foreign governments from gobbling up the jobs and profits of American businesses. Some estimate more than $2 trillion in American profits are stranded overseas. And no one has yet convinced me a dollar left overseas is better than a dollar brought home to be invested in new research, new jobs, and new facilities. It's not enough to simply buy American. We have to sell American as well. That means advancing an ambitious trade agenda that creates opportunities for American workers, for farmers, and local businesses to sell their products and services to every corner of the globe. I intend for this committee to examine closely and transparently the proposed Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement to determine if it achieves the high ambitions set forth in our new trade rules. I strongly believe federal programs shouldn't trap Americans in poverty. That's why we're going to continue to advance legislation to reform our nation's welfare programs. Along the way, we'll focus on modern anti-poverty solutions proven to help move Americans from government benefit checks to real paychecks and the unlimited opportunity our people and constituents deserve. Many of us are convinced there is a better way to provide affordable, patient-centered health care than the Affordable Care Act, and we'll continue to fight for patients, local businesses, and healthcare professionals who've been harmed by this law. And lastly, the longer we put off saving Social Security and Medicare for the long term, the more difficult the task becomes. We have ideas, and so do our Democratic friends. It's time to act now, to take steps, small and large, to strengthen and save these important programs. That's an ambitious agenda, I concede, and none of this will happen overnight as we pursue regular order and broad input from our respective conferences. But the talent and dedication on this committee is undeniable. We simply have to find the will and the way to tackle these big challenges. If not us, then who? Again, I'm honored to lead this committee. Let's get to work. Mr. Levin, you are recognized for your remarks.
Thank you very much. First, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. You're known to have strong views, but also a very openness about how you proceed. We've already had several meetings, and all of us look forward to expressing our agreements and our differences on views in a very open way, Kevin, Mr. Chairman. So again, congratulations, and Mr. Rice, congratulations to you. We all look forward to getting to know you. You know, this committee has a long history, and included in its history is not only the determination to tackle tough issues, but the ability to know each other as a basis for working together better. That has its antecedents. I remember when I first joined this committee, we came to know each other very, very well. And I think that really was beneficial. And so I hope we can develop close personal relationships beyond what they exist today. Let me just say a word about the jurisdiction of this committee and our need to exercise it. We face these deadlines, for example, on tax extenders. We also hope to tackle tax reform and other issues. And I think one of the problems with letting these deadlines capture us is that essentially we haven't been able to use in this institution regular order. And too often the jurisdiction of this committee has essentially been evaded, and instead issues gone directly to the floor. So I hope, Mr. Chairman, under your leadership and with the help of all of us on the Democratic side, we can really just actively and vigorously exercise the jurisdiction of this committee at every point. So deadlines often have been the enemy of our exercise of our jurisdiction, and I hope very much that we can reassert it. The Speaker has said, and as former chairman of this committee, I think he has special standing to say so, that there's going to be an effort to use regular order in this institution and to give committees the function that they're supposed to exercise. And this committee, with its broad jurisdiction, has a special need to do that. Surely that relates to tax reform. We have said all along that the only way it can effectively proceed is on a bipartisan basis. And so I think there should be a serious effort to proceed on that basis. And let me just finish by saying a word about health reform. About health and the ACA. We clearly have very, very different ideas. I think there's a need for us to exchange views before you proceed. So despite these deep differences, again, I don't think that should be a reason to avoid and evade the jurisdiction of this committee. And so I hope at every point there'll be an effort to utilize the strength and the talents within our committee to tackle these issues even when we start with some broad disagreement. So, Mr. Chairman, we all look forward to working with you. As I said, you have a history of strong views with the ability to relate to everybody on a committee and to offer friendship and openness. And I think that's a good omen for the future. Again, congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Levin, and thank you again for your leadership and friendship. Mr. Rangel, you recognize?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I think I've served on this committee longer than any member that's here. And when I heard Speaker Ryan say that one of the promises that he made to the Republican membership in the House was that legislative committees, in his opinion, should legislate, and they should provide the guidance for the leadership as to where we were going to ultimately go. And it reminded me, my God, this is what the Constitution says. This was the Congress that I had joined. This was the committee that, more important than anything else, I just want to be a part of. And regardless of where it started, it reached a point, and where it is today, that some young person having the opportunity to serve on a committee like this may once again hope that the ideals that he brought to this committee just one day might become law. Not because they raised more money than anybody else, or that they went to the same club as the leadership, but because they worked with people on a committee like Ways and Means, where true we have all more self-esteem than we need, but nevertheless, we respect each other because we belong to this exclusive constitutional created committee. It's not going to be easy, Mr. Chairman, because no matter how strong the convictions are of the Speaker, he has a party that he has to appeal to. And sometimes there are people that just don't like taxes and the jurisdiction that we have, and it's going to be difficult. I'm just taking the liberty of suggesting that if you and Mr. Levin could get together and select legislative items that nobody can have any possibility of believing that is partisan. I'll throw in there the fiscal survival of Puerto Rico, but I assume that other members have different ideas. To allow the House to believe that we are willing to work together on some of the smaller problems and to allow people to believe that we are mature enough and prepared enough politically and enjoy enough political independence that we're willing to tackle some of the larger problems. I could leave this Congress believing that not only this committee, but every committee in the House, that a young person can get on that committee and hope that one day it won't be just the leadership to tell them what bills will be reaching the floor. So this is a great challenge, but my God, is it not a great opportunity? The Speaker says, let's start anew. Such beautiful political words. But you and we have an opportunity to put strength behind those words so that maybe he would care more about the speakership than the draft committee that put him in there. And because I love the Congress and the committee so much, I doubt whether there's anything that I could possibly think of that would not cause me to reach out to work with you and to work with members of this committee so that the prestige and the dignity and the respect that we used to enjoy can once again be restored. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Rangel. And to your point, you know, our speaker has made it clear this is a fresh start, and he wishes legislators to be legislators again. I intend on this committee to do exactly that. So members who get the policy right, who work hard to build support, get the scores right, where there is bipartisan opportunities to reach out there and prepare those bills, we're going to find through our subcommittees ways to move those legislation, again, small and large. But it is time to advance good policy in a pro-growth way out of this committee. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. As to our business, copies of the proposed rule changes have been distributed to members. In short, I'm proposing a change in the rules to the subcommittees on health and select revenue measures. These changes will allow more of our members on both sides of the aisle to work directly on the subcommittees dealing with health and tax reform issues that I view as critical parts of our agenda ahead. I also propose changing the name of the Subcommittee on Select Revenue Measures to the Subcommittee on Tax Policy. That's a more easily understood description of what this subcommittee does, and we should be for this sort of transparency wherever possible. These changes are consistent with the Speaker's efforts to promote regular order and empower the committee process. I've discussed them in advance with Ranking Member Levin, and thank you for those discussions, and he sees no objection. So I ask unanimous consent that the proposed changes to the committee rules, as amended, be considered adopted. Hearing no objection, the committee rules are adopted as amended. There being no further business, the committee stands adjourned.